Thanks for tuning in to the Prosperity for America channel. Today we're going to be talking about interviewing for an executive operations management position in a manufacturing facility. Now, the reason we're going to be that specific is, quite frankly, different operations management positions, like for a service company or for a software company, they're just different as far as the kinds of things the company needs to talk about, the things that they need to ask you. And that being said, it's ironic, but generally speaking, the first question is still the same, whether you're interviewing for a line staff position or operations management position. Typically, it's tell me about yourself. But there's also variations of that. Like, for example, a variation is, so why are you interested in our company? All right? So as an executive, they're expecting you to have done some serious research on them so that you would know whether or not you could actually run that operation. It's not like you only need to know your job. You need to know the whole operation to be an effective operations executive. Now, when I say operations executive, I'm thinking of at least an operations manager or a director level type position. So director of operations, VP of operations, could be the CEO of a smaller operation, but something where you're managing several different departments, right? And what that means is you need to have a foundational knowledge in all of those departments, whether it's sales, manufacturing, purchasing, logistics, shipping, quality control. You need to have a working knowledge of how those things are done, so that way you know when things are being done correctly. That's a big deal in operations management, is to know when things are being done correctly versus when you're being misled. Let's just say it nicely. So whenever you're being misled, all right? So when you are getting interviewed, the question will come at you a little bit differently, and that is, what makes you interested in our operation, in our position, all right? And you really should have not just one reason, you should have 3 or 4, all right? And you want them to be sincere reasons, not fluff reasons. Reasons that show that you're a person that is going to think through things, all right? So tell them that, you heard it was a great company, and leaving it at that is probably not good enough for an executive position, all right? What you want to do is talk about, well, I'm really impressed with your track record as far as quality products, quality materials. I'm really impressed with the fact that your company has low turnover. I'm really impressed that your company likes to promote from within. That's a great way to motivate people. These are things that, as an operations manager, that you want to take into consideration, and you want them to know that you're thinking this through, because they want someone that's going to come in and actually operate the place. Now, some positions are open because there's something drastically wrong, but in today's day and age, there's also a lot of positions open because of retirement, which means the person probably did a pretty good job to retire from a management position. So it'd be good for you to ask about that, even as you're getting set up for the interview. Why is this position open? So that way you would be able to talk about that within a proper consequence. And so what you want to do is again, this question, you want to also ask questions. In other words, when you would tell them why, those 3 or 4 reasons why you would like to work for them, it's great to follow up before they have any questions and say, I'm very interested. What do you need done, and how can I help the most? Basically, you're trying to get them to talk about the problems that are occurring on a day-to-day basis, because really in operations management, number 1 skill is solving problems. Things don't go as planned. How do you get them back on plan? How do you make sure the goal is still met? How do you make sure that everything is still out the door and delivered every day? That's a big deal in operations management in a manufacturing operation. So from there, they may ask you, what is your leadership style? And sometimes people make the mistake, of saying, well, I'm this or I'm that. All right. So, for example, one would be authoritarian, and one is I'm a team builder. Okay. Quite frankly, the people that really have the most leadership skills say that actually I'm good with both a more authoritative and a team building type of leadership style. I feel that I have both because I know where I have to put my foot down, and I know where I have to actually get the team involved so we make a better decision. That's actually wise. So you want them to know that you have that ability to do what you need to do, coming from whatever different management style perspective that may come. That's the difference between somebody who is a line staff management person versus somebody who's in charge of an operation, because the ultimate goal is the profitability. Now, one of the things that they're going to definitely ask you is, have you ever had profit loss responsibility? They'll talk about EBITDA. All right, I'm sure those with accounting backgrounds know about that, and basically there's budgets. All right, and also pricing. All right, so you want to find out, as you're talking to the people that are interviewing, what are the potential problem areas? In other words, the world is definitely not perfect in operations management. So, you need to ask questions about what are the potential problem areas, what is the most common type of problem, and then what you want to have ready and already thought through is where you have ran into a similar problem in your past position or positions, and tell them a story about, well, we ran into a shipping problem. For some reason, everything was getting through manufacturing and it wasn't actually getting out the door on a daily basis. There was some confusion, and sometimes we wouldn't get it out. So I fixed it by doing this, this, and this. They're going to want to know how you identified what exactly was wrong as well. So something that you should be ready to discuss is your ability to diagnose the cause and then develop a solution. All right, and then usually there's more than one solution involved. So be prepared to talk about the problems that you have solved, just to give them examples of how you would approach a problem, how you would go about diagnosing what was wrong, and then how you would choose which solution to use. Sometimes there's a solution to a certain set of situations, and then even with the same problem area, you might have a different part of the solution for the back end of that problem. So you have to be aware of the idea of having it in your front of your mind, the depth of what you really thought through when you had those problems. Not to go on over, end and end and talk and talk and talk and talk. You want to also, in showing leadership, be able to get to the point. And sometimes what happens is you need to say to them the end result and then tell them how that result was achieved. And what you want to do is tell them the end result and then start right into telling them how it was achieved. And they may cut you off at a certain point where they don't need to hear any more, or they may want to hear all the detail. That's a great thing, because what you want to do is establish firmly by the end of that interview that you're the right choice. All right, and I just want to remind all of you that whatever your work level is, especially, but I think this is especially true in upper management, is that you really don't want to talk money until you established your value. All right, so you don't want to talk money in detail until the very end, after you know that they want you. That's when you want to talk money. Before that, it's just a parameter, and if you happen to be someone that's worth that extra 5 or 10% because of how good you are, you need to establish that you are that good before you talk money. because then you might just get ruled out for a parameter, as opposed to being ruled in because, you know what, this person might cost us an extra $20,000 a year, but they're going to save us $500,000 easy with their knowledge and their way of deploying solutions to problems. So in the end of the interviewing process, you want to make sure that they really know that you want to work for them. Playing coy is never a good idea, especially in executive interviewing. You want to make sure that they feel that you are genuinely interested in their position, in their operation, and as you get to talk to different people, because in an operations management executive position, you're not going to get hired by just talking to the CEO or the VP of operations or corporate office, etc. If you're going to be in charge of the location, executives, you are going to talk to sometimes members of the team, and you'll want to hear from the people that might be working below you, what kind of problems they run into and how they go about solving the problem. And I think more often than not these days, people would rather have a collaborative approach to solving problems and working with people. All right, I think for right now, that's we're going to have more videos on how to interview for an executive position. And right now, what I really think is we've talked for 10 or 12 minutes, and if we go on and on and on, we're going to have a follow-up tape as to some of the more detailed questions that you might get asked. But this will get you ready in a pinch, and if you really, actually a lot of this, it's all about preparation, thinking through what you've done, what situations specifically that you've made a difference in. How you deal with personnel issues is always something that will come up in a management position interview, so be ready for that. So again, this is the Prosperity for America channel. I'm Greg Schmidt. Thanks for tuning in. If you found this video of value, please do subscribe. We'd appreciate it. Have a great day. Looking for a technical professional or operations management position? Visit prosperity.jobs. For tips on how to get a better response to your resume online or how to interview more effectively to have a more prosperous career, visit the Prosperity for America channel on YouTube. Prosperity, it's what we all want.